Hello, my name is Blake, and I'm an alcoholic. Um, Thank you, Randall. I am a very busy person, not just because of you, but also because I work steps with Randall, and Randall keeps me very busy. But he works an action program, and so I am constantly doing things. I go out to SATOP, and I go to treatment centers, and I get to come do stuff like this, and share my story with you guys. And I'm constantly in recovery all the time. And somebody asked me, what do you do for hobbies? And I could list like a couple of things, but most of my time goes to stuff like this these days. And because of that, I get to be sober, which is really cool. Um, and it's neat. This is a really neat meeting because I have got a lot of faces here that I recognize, not just from uh, um, AA, but also from Recovery Dharma and from a lot of other places that I've been. And I'll get to talk about that here in a little bit. I'd like to start with my first drink. So I worked at I started drinking when I was 21, and I worked at Brahms off and on for 8 years. And I think a few months into Brahms, I had made friends with some people there, and I didn't really have very many plans for my life at the time. I was still kind of a kid, but I hadn't ever touched alcohol at that point. Um, and I had some friends invite me over to the house, and I got to the door, and they were like, "You want a drink?" And for some reason, I said yes. I had always been like, in like the no alcohol and drugs crowd growing up. And, for some reason, I was sick of it. I wanted something different, so I was like, yeah, let's do this. And it was Malibu rum and orange soda, and it was delicious. And the first drink went down fast, and the second one hit me like a big old bag of bricks right out of the sky. And I remember that it felt like nothing I've ever felt before. And my brain liked that a lot. And I found out I didn't get possessed by demons, and I didn't die. I just had a lot of fun, and I wanted to do that. And so I made up some excuse why I had to stay over, and to my parents that I was living with at the time. And I did a lot of that too. So I spent my college days drinking. I moved into a house with a bunch of college guys. Uh, Now I like to talk about peer pressure when this comes up. I don't think that we really realize how much peer pressure we're under at the time. It seems like a silly concept, but in hindsight, it makes you do weird, wild, crazy things, and makes you want to be someone you're not. And I wanted people to like me. I've never had an issue with people liking me for some reason. I really want to fit in, and I want to try really, really hard. And so I did some dumb things that probably weren't me, but I ended up finding a crowd that I fit in well with, and I was able to have a lot of fun. And we partied a lot. We'd throw like these 300 plus people parties, and you'd find like a bag of cocaine on the floor in the morning. It was pretty stupid, pretty wild, pretty crazy. And then after that, everybody just kind of started moving away slowly. Um, I remember I started drinking more regularly, and there was a time I was really hooked on Barefoot Pinot Noir. I thought that was really good stuff, and I brought it over to a friend's house one night, and we were finishing up a game we had originally started the night before, a game of Catan. I don't know if you guys have played that, but I had brought over a new bottle of Barefoot Pinot Noir, and Sean sees it, and he's like, "Is that a new bottle or the same bottle?" And it's a new bottle. Do you want a glass? And he's like, "You might want to be careful about that." That's kind of like the first warning I got. that I just kind of like blew off. It didn't land at all. I thought that's a weird comment. And I moved on. And slowly I ended up pretty alone. I started hanging around at the bars more downtown, and I was drinking by myself more often. I ended up finding out that I could just like go out by myself and have fun. But fun was like sitting down next to a bunch of other people that were drunk and drinking. But we connected, and I found people who drank as much as I did, and that was pretty okay for me at the time. Um, I eventually ended up getting a DWI. I probably should have 13, 14, 25 DWIs, but luckily I only have one. Um, and it was rough. It was a rough go. I remember getting back the next day and telling my roommate that I had to quit drinking. I was like, "Oh, this is it. I get a DWI. I can't just keep doing this." And I was like, "But it's gonna suck because I really, really like drinking a lot." And I decided that I'm gonna quit. And I'm able to stay sober for like a couple months, I think. Maybe not even that. Maybe like a few weeks. But I abstained for like a couple weeks, and I was like, okay, like this is pretty good. I can control this, and it would spin out of control. I ended up not doing any of my SATOP or any of my community service. I paid off my fine, and I think that was it. And then I spent the next couple of years like hiding from phone calls and the cops. And I moved in with a guy, and I didn't tell him until afterwards that like what was going on. He's like, "I didn't know you were hiding from the law." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I wasn't really talking about that." And So I ended up getting caught. I was speeding, and I got pulled over, and I just like pretended like I didn't know anything. And I ended up in handcuffs, and then with a court date. And my judge goes, "Okay, so you have 90 days to serve." And I'm like, "Is there anything I can do at all?" And this became a pattern of me getting away with things, and again and again and again. And it made it easier for me to come back to stuff. But I said, "Okay, can I do anything else?" It's like, I'll do these things, I promise." And he goes, "Okay, but I can't just let you go. You need to do one day." And so I did one day in jail, and it wasn't too bad. It was enough to make me not want to do 3 months. But um, I'm very, very lucky to be able to not have to serve what I probably should have. Uh, so I got out of jail, and I got into SATOP, and I did my community service. Community service was a breeze. I got to wash dishes at Mercy, which was pretty cool. SATOP was very difficult, not because of the content, but I couldn't pass my drug tests to save my life. It just they were all dirty. And I remember it was Mother's Day, and I was I was pretty juiced up. And uh I remember sitting in the chair, and our SATOP counselor comes in. She's like, "Okay, we're taking tests today." And my heart just sinks. And it's probably like, I remember the number, but I just remember like how shitty it felt. And the next week I get called into her office, and she asked me again, for I don't know how many times, to write out a letter to the court explaining my situation, that I'm trying to get better. And then she says, "Blake, if you can't pass your drug tests, you're going to go to jail." And she says, would you go to an AA meeting? And I said, "I'll do anything. I'll do anything you want." And so she set me up with an AA meeting. And I went, and I it was okay. It made me want to drink. That's what happens, unfortunately. But I didn't though. And I went to another one, and I went to another one, and I was like one of those people that was like, I spent the first 3 months of that just going to meetings and like not doing steps and not getting a sponsor. Um, and people would ask me a lot, and like try to be like, you really should. And I didn't really understand the benefit, or how I was going to go about doing that, or believing that I could in the first place. um, but eventually I ran into somebody who I connected with at this time, and I asked him to be my sponsor. And I remember it was 3 months after working steps with him, I got into his car, and I was like, "Man, I feel like I'm done drinking." And he laughed at me, and I was like, I didn't like that. And I had a lot of other problems with the program at the time, and some of the content in there, and with him. And I at some point I ran to Price Cutter, and I picked up a bottle of I think sea ice, vodka, what I had been used to drinking, and I just sat it on my countertop and looked at it for like a long while, and then I drank it. And over the next few weeks, I would call him in the middle of the night while I was drunk, and he eventually, he'd be like, "You can't do this," and he had to say, "If you can't quit drinking, then you might as well just keep drinking. Then, if you can't stop, doesn't look like you're done," is what he said. So I just kept doing that instead, and I went back out to the bars, and I socialized out there somewhat. I like to say that I've talked about my friends in the past. It was more like just like regular acquaintances, people you kind of knew. I had a few friends, but rarely would I meet someone that really cared that much. And I ended up moving back in with my parents. Things got pretty bad. I was secluding myself. I was in my room, like locked away in my room, afraid to come out, and I ended up checking into. Oh, hold up. Sorry. Sometimes this gets all mismatched in my head. So I ended up going back to living with my parents. And I ended up having a hard time. I couldn't quit drinking, and I ran into Randall. And the first time, he did. He approached me, and I was like, well, I know what 3 months of sobriety without working steps gets you in AA. So let's just jump in and do this. Um, and we did, and that worked for a long time. And I ended up struggling somewhat, because he's right. I did. I do that thing where you kind of run up to the edge and then you back away from a lot of things. And I think a lot of times I was uncomfortable with like feeling like I was told what to do, or to say this or to do that, and that was hard. And so I would recoil, and what I would go back to is something that was familiar. And eventually, what this ran me up into is just a wall. So I went to therapy, and I went to Synergy, and I tried that for a while. And my therapist eventually recommended that I go to like what's called like the Synergy House, and it's like this like getaway house with like massages and glasses and things, and I turned it down. And I said, I don't know if that's for me, but I think I just want to do like one-on-ones. And I have that same pattern of like wanting to get better, but not wanting to put in the work. And or trying to find, what's the easiest way I can get through this thing the fastest without having to feel, terrible. And it didn't work. It was a lot of me trying to do it by myself, trying to find out how to figure out my problem and then sort through it on my own. But I'm working with a broken machine. I can't fix it by myself. So I eventually say, I can't afford the house, but I can at least do classes. And what Synergy offered was a program of recovery. And so I stuck with it, and I was able to stay sober for like 8 months. And I finished the program sober. And I commenced, and I told my story at the end of it, and we all had a party. And then it was like a few weeks went by, and I was talking to my therapist, and I said, I'm ready to go back to AA. I think that like I need a lifelong program of recovery, because it doesn't work with just me. I need the recovery centers and the AA meetings and the SATOP meetings, and I need to go tell my story, and I need to work with other alcoholics, and I need to learn, when I'm making the wrong decisions, and talk it out with other people and not keep to myself. And so that's what I do now. And I learned that about like this resistance that I had. And if I can just sit down with somebody like Randall or another alcoholic, I'm blessed to find a lot around me. A lot of people in my daily life, even. It's cool. They kind of pop in there. And I can accept these things. And I'm able to have a spiritual experience doing this. I was sitting with my family on the driveway a couple months ago, and we were just talking, sitting in lawn chairs, and the sun's going down in the background, and it just felt like I belonged. I wasn't trying to get away. I wasn't obsessed with what I was going to do that night or the next day or the problem that I was trying to sort out. I could just like love the people who cared about me. And that's what AA gave me. That's what recovery gave me. I wish that I could show new people that. It's harder to like tell somebody because it's something you really have to experience. And I think if you're in like a program, it should not feel like chains around you. It should feel like wings. It should feel like you're set free. And I'm able to feel like that today. I was recently able to step up to the plate at work. Was really cool. I am blessed with a job where people care about me, care about what we do. And an opportunity opened up after like trying a couple of times for some new responsibility, and I threw my name in the hat. I might have been like the only name in the hat, but I was really happy when they said yes. And if I was, where I was a year ago, that would not have been possible at all. And I am blessed today to be able to like work a program that gives me cool things like that. I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much.